Reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto number 3, chapter number 27, titled Understanding Material Nature. Text number 10. Nivritta buddhi avasthano Nivritta buddhi avasthano Duri bhutanya darshanaha Duri bhutanya darshanaha Upalabhyatmanatmanam Upalabhyatmanatmanam Chaksu sevarkam atmadrig Chaksu sevarkam atmadrig Nivritta buddhi avasthano Duri bhutanya darshanaha Upalabhyatmanatmanam Chaksu sevarkam atmadrig Nivritta buddhi avasthano Duri bhutanya darshanaha Upalabhyatmanatmanam Chaksu sevarkam atmadrig Duri bhutanya darshanaha Upalabhyatmanatmana Chaksu sevarkam atmadri Nivritta buddhi avasthano Darshanaha Upalabhyatmanatmanam Chaksu sevarkam atmadri. Matajis. Nivritta buddhi avasthano Duri bhutanya darshana Upalabhyatmanatmanam Chaksu sevarka atmadri. Word for word translation. Nivritta, transcended. Buddhi avasthanaha, the stages of material consciousness. Duri bhuta, far off. Anya, other. Darshanaha, conceptions. Conceptions of life. Upalabhya, having realized. Atmana, by his purified intellect. Atmanam, his own self. Chaksusa, with his eyes. Iva, as. Arkam, the sun. Atmadrik, the self-realized. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace, Srila A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada, Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Translation: one should be situated in the transcendental position beyond the stages of material consciousness and should be aloof from all other conceptions of life. Thus, realizing freedom from false ego, one should see his own self just as he sees the sun in the sky. Om Jnanatimirandasya Jnananjana Salakaya Chaksul Militam Yena Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha. Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Okay, we'll just go through the purport bit by bit. Purport by Srila Prabhupada. Consciousness acts in 3 stages under the mature conception of life. When we are awake, consciousness acts in a particular way. When we are asleep, it acts in a different way. And when we are in deep sleep, consciousness acts in still another way. To become Krishna conscious, one has to become transcendental to these 3 stages of consciousness. Our present consciousness should be freed from all perceptions of life other than consciousness of Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead. This is called Duri Bhutanya Darshana, which means that when one attains perfect Krishna consciousness, he does not see anything but Krishna. So at the start of the purport today, Srila Prabhupada is explaining about 3 levels of consciousness. So the first level of consciousness is when we're awake. Second level, Prabhupada is saying, when we're asleep and we can see dreams. And the third level of consciousness, Prabhupada says, is deep sleep, when we're completely knocked out and there's no dreams, nothing. And Prabhupada is saying to become Krishna conscious, we have to become transcendental to all of these 3 levels of consciousness. And what is Krishna consciousness? Prabhupada is saying that to become Krishna conscious, we have to be completely freed from all possessions of life other than consciousness of Krishna. So basically, Prabhupada is saying Krishna consciousness means 24 hours a day, you have to be completely absorbed in thinking of Krishna. And if we come to that level, then we transcend the 3 mature levels of consciousness. So how to become absorbed in Krishna? My Guru Maharaj says that we should mold our day in such a way that at every single time during different time periods during the day, we're doing some sort of Krishna conscious activity. My Guru Maharaj uses the term lifestyle engineering. Just like we have, if we go to university or school, there'll be different types of engineering, chemical engineering, water engineering, geotechnical engineering, structural engineering, mechanical engineering, electrical engineering. So like this, there's so many different forms or types of engineering. And each engineering field, they will be involved with manipulating certain type of matter to create something. Like electrical engineer, he will be working with electrical equipment, electrical energy for the benefit of society. Mechanical engineer, he'll be working with different machines. And structural engineer, he'll be working with, the structural design of buildings. A water engineer, he'll be working on, drainage pipes, so on and so forth. Geotechnical engineering, he'll be working with soil mechanics, how to create tunnels underground. So in the same way, my Guru Maharaj says, there is lifestyle engineering. And in lifestyle engineering, what do? We engineer or we manipulate or we mold our lifestyle in such a way that every single moment of the day, right from the morning till the night when we go to sleep, we're somehow or other connected with Krishna. We're somehow or other absorbed in Krishna consciousness. So my Guru Maharaj says that we should always have a plan. Every day we should have a plan. Okay, today it's Monday. What plan do I have? Okay, what am I going to do in the morning? What am I going to do at 9 o'clock? What am I going to be doing at 11, mid of the day? During my lunch break, what am I going to do? On the way back home, on the train or bus, or while driving, what should I do? When I come back home from work or university, what should I do? So like this, we should have at the start of every day, we should have a plan in mind. And in this way, we should plan our lives, plan our day-to-day lives, engineer our lives in such a way that at every single moment we are absorbed in thoughts of Krishna. either directly or indirectly. His Holiness Radhanath Swami Maharaj, one time, one reporter or someone in the audience, they asked Maharaj one question, that Maharaj, if you could sum up Krishna consciousness, the whole process of bhakti in just one word, what would that one word be? So how to summarize the whole philosophy of Krishna consciousness in just one word? Prabhupada, he has given us so many books, right? 18 volumes of Bhagavatam, 9 volumes of Chaitanya Chart, then there's Bhagavad Gita, Ishopanishad, Nectar of Instruction, Nectar of Devotion, Krishna book, teachings of Lord Kapila, teachings of Lord Chaitanya, teachings of Queen Kunti. Like that, Prabhupada has given us more than 50 volumes of books. So if all that knowledge in that 50 volumes of books, if you had to summarize into just one word, what would that one word be? And His Holiness Radhanath Swami Maharaj's answer was absorption. If we want to sum up the whole philosophy of bhakti or the whole philosophy of Krishna consciousness in just one word, it is absorption. Krishna consciousness or bhakti means we're training ourselves, or we're trying to endeavor to come to a platform where we're always absorbed in thoughts of Shri Shri Radha Gopinath, always absorbed in thoughts of Krishna and Krishna's service. So Prabhupada, he says that Krishna is absolute. There is no difference between Krishna's name, form, quality, pastimes, so on and so forth. So Prabhupada says that being absorbed in Krishna 24 hours a day doesn't mean that, we just sit in one place and we just think of, Radha Gopinath's, picture in our mind just whole day. That doesn't necessarily have to be the case. Prabhupada says being absorbed in Krishna means, being absorbed in Krishna's service. So Krishna's service is non-different from Krishna, Prabhupada explains. So if during the whole day we're meditating or thinking or planning or using our intelligence into how to serve Krishna, that is considered as just as good as being, directly taking darshan of Shri Shri Radha Gopinath. Or if we're chanting Krishna's holy name or we're reading Bhagavatam, that is also considered as being absorbed in Krishna. So there's many different ways we can connect ourselves with Shri Shri Radha Gopinath, either through reading Bhagavatam, hearing some lecture, chanting the holy name, thinking and planning in our minds how I can better do my service. Today I have this much time gap free during the day. What service I can do during the day? How I can do some practical seva for Shri Shri Radha Gopinath. So in this way, we should have a plan every day, have a plan for the week, have a daily plan of how we should absorb our consciousness in Krishna. There's one verse in the Puranas, Smartavya Satatam Vishnu Vismartavya Najatuchit Sarva Vidu Nisedashur Etayor Eva Kinkara. So this is a very important verse that Srila Prabhupada used to often quote. And this verse explains that in the Shastra there is so many different injunctions, so many different do's and don'ts. There's the 4 Vedas, 108 Upanishads, 18 Puranas. Like this, there's, and if you collect all the verses together, it's like millions of verses given in the Shastras. So in these millions of verses in the Vedic texts, so many different rules, so many different regulations are given. You should do this, you should do this, you should do this, you should do that. You shouldn't do this, you shouldn't do that, you shouldn't do that. Like that, there's so many different, rules and regulations given in all of these, thousands and thousands, millions of verses in the Shastras. But this verse says that all of these different thousands of do's and don'ts which the Shastras give, all of these different do's and don'ts, they're all servants of one principle, which is to always remember Krishna and to never forget Krishna. So whenever we come across any particular do or don't that the Shastra gives, that, okay, you should rise early in the morning, you should chant the holy name of the Lord, you shouldn't offend other devotees, you shouldn't be envious of other living entities, you should be compassionate, you should give in charity, you should be humble, you should be tolerant. Like this, the Shastras give different do's and don'ts. So whenever we come across a certain do or certain don't, according to this verse, all of these do's and don'ts, they're all supposed to help us to always remember Krishna and to never forget Krishna. So that's like the king of all the verses, or that's like the king of all the principles. So the topmost principle is we should always be absorbed in Shri Radha Gopinath. We should always remember them and never forget them. And all of these other different rules and regulations that we come across, that's all meant to help us remember Krishna and never forget Him. So when the Shastra says, okay, don't offend devotees, don't be envious of them. Why is the Shastra telling us to do that? Because if we do that, we will forget Krishna. And why is the Shastra telling us, okay, be humble, be tolerant? Because if we do that, we will be able to remember Krishna. And we won't be able to forget Krishna. When we start becoming proud, why does the Shastra say don't become proud? Because again, when we become proud, immediately Krishna goes out of our consciousness. And we forget Krishna. So that is the main purpose of everything we're practicing. The whole purpose of every single rule and regulation we're doing is simply to bring us to that point of being fully absorbed in Krishna consciousness, fully absorbed in thoughts of Shri Radha Gopinath. There's one nice pastime in Krishna book. If we go in Dwarka Leela of Krishna book, there's one chapter titled Lord Krishna's daily activities. Okay, not this chapter, I think it's the one before this. It's titled Naren Muni. That's the chapter where Naren Muni, he goes and visits Krishna in all of his different palaces. So in Dwarka, Krishna has 16,108 palaces. And one day, Naren Muni, this is just after Krishna, he kills Bhaumasura. And Bhaumasura, as we all know, he was keeping captive 16,000 queens from all around the world. So Naren Muni, he hears or finds out that Krishna, he has married 16,000 queens or princesses in one go. And Naren Muni is astonished, and Naren Muni is thinking, how is Krishna maintaining, so many queens at the same time? And Naren Muni has heard that for each single queen, Krishna has a separate palace. So he has 16,108 palaces for his 16,108 queens, and Krishna is personally maintaining each and every one of them. So when Naren Muni, he finds out about this, he is astonished. How is Krishna doing this? I got to go and see for myself, how is Krishna doing this? So this is the nature of devotees. The devotees, they're always eager to learn more about their dear Lord. Just like in the material world, people, they'll be fans of some big sports player or fans of some big movie star or some singer. So if someone is a fan of a sports player or a music star or some celebrity, naturally they'll always want to learn more about, that celebrity. They'll read different magazines, read articles online, what does this person do in his free time? How does he train to become so good? What is his favorite food or what is her favorite food? Like this, they'll want to learn more about the celebrity whom they're into, whom they're very much attracted to. So in the same way, devotees, they're all fans of Krishna. So they want to always learn more and more about Krishna's glories. And devotees, they always delight in understanding and realizing more about how Krishna is so wonderfully doing his different leelas, doing his different pastimes. So here Naren Muni, as a pure devotee of the Lord, he's having that desire. I want to go and personally see how my Lord is maintaining so many queens, how he's maintaining so many wives. I want to personally go and see how my dear Lord is doing this. So then he travels to Dwarka. And the very first palace he goes to is the palace of Mother Rukmani. And I like one description given, like Bhagavatam or Krishna book gives very detailed descriptions of how beautiful these palaces were. There was so much gold and silver, diamonds, It's like a very elaborate description, very opulent. And one of the descriptions given is that inside these palaces, Krishna, he used to burn a lot of incense. And there used to be so much incense burning inside Krishna's palaces that the smoke of the incense used to start floating out of the windows. Okay, so there's palaces with many windows, and there'll be so much incense Krishna would have lit inside the palaces that the smoke of the incense would start drifting out through the windows. And as the smoke of the incense will start drifting out of the windows, there will be peacocks in the gardens, in Krishna's backyard or front yard, and the peacocks will see this huge cloud of smoke coming from the windows. And the smoke from the incense was like so big, so huge, the peacocks, they start thinking that actually it's a cloud, that actually it's rainy season. It's going to start to rain, and all the peacocks will start dancing jubilantly, thinking, oh yes, it's going to rain now, the clouds have come, the clouds have come. But actually it's just incense burning in Krishna's house. So like this, very detailed descriptions are given in Bhagavatam of Krishna's palaces. And one interesting thing, the Acharyas explained that when Krishna, he marries these 16,100 queens that Bhaumasura was keeping captive, during the marriage ceremony, it's not that Krishna, he married all of them in one big fire sacrifice. Just like yesterday we had an initiation ceremony, we had one fire sacrifice for many devotees. So there were some first initiates, second initiates, and for all of them we just had one yagna and we just did for all of them in one go. Everyone was present in one place and we just did it like that. So generally we would think that when Krishna, he married these queens, we would think that Krishna would have, one big fire yagna, where in one go he will marry all of the queens. But actually it's explained differently. Actually Krishna had a separate marriage ceremony for each one of those queens. And he simultaneously was present. So let's say, he had one marriage ceremony here, in North Sydney. He had another one in Crow's Nest, another one in Neutral Bay, another one, Camaray, like that. Burwood, Stratford, like this, So simultaneously he had a separate, marriage ceremony for each one of those 16,100 queens. And he was simultaneously present in each one of those areas. So he was simultaneously present in the marriage ceremony going for Queen 1, in Crow's Nest. He was simultaneously present in marriage ceremony happening in Camaray with Queen 2, like that. So he was present in all of them. And not only was he simultaneously present in all the marriage ceremonies for all the 16,000 queens, but who else comes to a marriage? All of one's family members. They also come to a marriage, right? So it's not that Krishna's parents, Vasudeva and Devaki, they only came to one of the marriage ceremonies, right? Otherwise, if there's 16,000 queens, if Krishna's parents, they only come to one of the queen's marriage and not to the other, 15,999 queens, then all the other queens, they will feel a bit left out, that, Krishna, okay, I'm getting married to Krishna, but, his parents are not there. So Krishna is so personal with his devotees that not only did he personally expand into all of those marriage ceremonies, but even his parents, somehow by Krishna's arrangement, by his internal potency, his parents were personally present in all of those 16,000 marriage ceremonies happening separately. So this is how amazing Krishna is. This is how personal Krishna is. So this, the Shastra explains, this is how we increase our love and devotion, our attraction to Krishna. The more we understand about Krishna's glories, the more we understand about Krishna's pastimes, about his dealings with different devotees, the more we'll get attracted towards Krishna. The more our love for Krishna will increase. Understanding, oh wow, Krishna is so personal, he did like that, he did like that. In this way, our love for Krishna, our attraction increases. So Naren Muni, as a pure devotee of Lord, he wants to find out more about Krishna. So now he is personally going to Dwarka to see how Krishna is reciprocating or managing so many different queens. Another detail the Acharyas give regarding how personal Krishna was with these queens. So all of these different queens, physically, they were all different in size or shape, their bodies. So some of these queens, they were a bit tall, some were a bit short, some of the queens were a bit skinny, other queens, they were a bit plumpy. So all of these queens, they're all different in physical appearance. And if for a tall queen, Krishna, to match her height, Krishna would increase his height a little bit. And if a queen was a bit shorter, then that Krishna who was with that shorter queen, Krishna would reduce his height a little bit. And if a particular queen was a little bit skinny, then Krishna would also become a little bit skinny. And if a particular queen was a little bit, lumpy, then Krishna will also do like that. So in this way, Krishna, he was so personal, so personal with his pure devotees, that he personally slightly adjusted his form to match the size of these different queens. So this is how personal Krishna is. Like this, there's so many pastimes, like in Rasa Leela, how Krishna was simultaneously present with all of the gopis, and every gopi thought that Krishna was dancing with her only. Same way when the cowherd boys, they used to have a picnic with Krishna. Each cowherd boy, somehow or other, Krishna would arrange it, like it's mentioned when Krishna used to take picnic in the forest with his mates. Krishna would be sitting in the middle, and then around Krishna there will be circles and circles of cowherd boys or gopas. And if you look from a distance, it looks like a lotus flower. And Krishna is there in the center of the whirl of the lotus flower. And around Krishna there's these different layers and layers of petals of the lotus flower. So it's a very beautiful scene. Krishna's there in the center, and then there's rounds and rounds of cowherd boys all surrounding Krishna. And everyone is staring at Krishna. And Krishna, he'll be seated this way, but there'll be some cowherd boys sitting that side, this side, that side, this side. But somehow Krishna, through his energies, he would arrange things in such a way that every single cowherd boy who was around Krishna, every single cowherd boy thought that Krishna is directly looking at me only. Although that cowherd boy would be sitting somewhere there, that cowherd boy will think that, oh, Krishna is actually directly looking at me. And the cowherd boy sitting on this side, he will think, oh, Krishna is directly looking at me. And the cowherd boy sitting all the way at the back on that side, he'll also think, oh, Krishna is directly looking at me. So in this way, all the cowherd boys seated all 360 degrees around Krishna, somehow by Krishna's arrangement, every single cowherd boy was thinking that Krishna is personally looking at me and exchanging love with me. So this is how amazing Krishna is. This is how personal he is with his pure devotees. Same thing we see in Chaitanya Leela. During Ratha Yatra, they would have different groups of Sankirtan. Just like in our temple, sometimes when we have Kirtan, initially maybe, we'll all be going together as one group, but later on we'll separate into smaller groups. One group will be going like this, another group will be going in circles, then another group will be standing on the side doing their own step. So like this, during Ratha Yatra or in the Jagannath Puri temple, Mahaprabhu and his associates, they would break up into different groups of Kirtan. And in each group of Kirtan, there'll be like a lead singer, a lead dancer, so on and so forth. And Mahaprabhu, he used to also personally dance very ecstatically in these Kirtans. And as devotees in these different groups, they used to dance in front of Lord Jagannath. Every single group, let's say there's like 7 groups of devotees dancing separately, and Mahaprabhu is also dancing amongst them. But every single group during that Sankirtan, every single group thought that Mahaprabhu was personally looking at them, or Mahaprabhu was personally dancing with them. So Mahaprabhu, again, just like with the gopis or just like with the queens, same way, in Chaitanya Leela, Krishna is Mahaprabhu. He also does the same Leela. He expands himself to be simultaneously present with all the different Kirtan parties. So that every single Kirtan party is thinking that actually Mahaprabhu is personally dancing with us and not with the others. And the Kirtan party number 2 is thinking, oh, Mahaprabhu is personally amongst us, he's dancing with us. And Kirtan party number 3 is thinking, oh, Mahaprabhu is personally with us, dancing with us. So in this way, Krishna, he's so personal with his devotees. So in this way, these descriptions are given, 10 canto about them. So Naren Muni, first palace he enters in Dwarka is the palace of Mother Rukmini. And when he enters the palace, he sees, what does he see? He sees Krishna seated on his throne. And next to Krishna is Mother Rukmini. And what is Rukmini doing? Mother Rukmini is fanning Krishna with a chamara. And Prabhupada explains that Mother Rukmini, she has hundreds and thousands of maidservants in her palace. And she could have got any one of her maidservants to come and do this menial service of fanning Krishna with a chamara. But still, Mother Rukmini, she loves Krishna so much that she personally wants to come and fan Krishna with the chamara. She doesn't want to give that service to anyone else. She wants to personally do that service. And Prabhupada says, devotees, they should be greedy for service, like Mother Rukmini. Just because there's so many other devotees around us who could do that service, doesn't mean we just relax, and become lazy and think, I can just delegate this to this other devotee, let me just relax. This is not the mood of Mother Rukmini. Although she has so many maidservants who could do this particular service, still she goes out of her way to personally come and serve Krishna by fanning Krishna with a chamara. In one Prabhupada explains, in Vaikuntha, there is no dust, there is no dirt. All the palaces, the whole planet of Vaikuntha is spotlessly clean. But although the whole of Vaikuntha is super clean, there's no dust, there's no dirt, nothing, still if someone goes into Vaikuntha, he'll see so many hundreds of goddesses of fortune, all sweeping the floor, cleaning the walls, mopping this area, mopping that area, going around with cleaning buckets, dusting this, dusting that. But there's no dust, everything is clean. But still the goddess of fortune, Prabhupada explains, they're all going all over Vaikuntha, cleaning, all the palaces of Krishna. Why? Because they want to attract Krishna's attention. Why? Because they love Krishna so much, they want to please Krishna with their service. So this point Prabhupada mentions again and again, that there is one way only by which we can attract Krishna's attentions, and that is through service. So therefore, any service we are given, we should never take it for granted. It is through service only we can attract Krishna's mercy. And service to Krishna is so valuable that great devotees like Mother Rukmini, Lakshmi Devi, they're always fighting for such service opportunities. They have so many maidservants with them. Still, they will personally go and cook for Krishna, they will personally fan Krishna, they will personally massage Krishna. They will do all sorts of menial services for Krishna because they love Krishna so much. They don't want to miss out in even a small opportunity of service. So this is the nature of devotees. They're always hungry, they're always greedy to do more and more service for Krishna. So this is how Narottam Das Thakur explains how we can overcome material greed. So all of us, we have some sort of material greed, and it could be for different things. Someone might be, greedy for shoes, like some people, they're into shoes, they collect so many different types of shoes. Someone might be greedy for money or cars or property, so on and so forth. We all have our own different attachments, types of attachments. And the way to overcome material greed, Narottam Das Thakur explains, is you cultivate spiritual greed. You become greedy to do more and more service for Krishna. That, I want to distribute more books for Krishna, I want to do more seva, I want to chant better, I want to do this better, so on and so forth. So we can have, just like we have goals in our material life for our careers, same way we can have goals in our spiritual life. And we should be always greedy to do more and more seva for Krishna. And it's given in, actually, His Holiness Jayapataka Maharaj, he explains that Raganuga Bhakti, or spontaneous devotional service, means that whatever service you're doing at the moment, you just simply always meditate how I can do this service better and better and better. If we simply always meditate in that way, His Holiness Jayapataka Maharaj says, that is Raganuga Bhakti. Raganuga Bhakti means you just continue doing whatever seva you're doing, you just continue doing it, but while you're doing that seva, you always meditate in your mind. How can I do this service better? What else can I do to improve this seva? So our service could be deity worship. While we're doing deity worship, we should always be thinking, how I can better do this deity worship? How I can better improve on this? What else can I do to do better? Same thing with our chanting. We should always be meditating, how I can better chant? Am I hearing attentively enough? What else can I do to improve my chanting? How I can better distribute my book? How I can better distribute Srila Prabhupada's books? Like this, if someone is always meditating how to improve their service more and more and more and more and more, that is spiritual greed, and Jaipati Maharaj explains that is Raganuga Bhakti. So in this way, Mother Rukmini, she is demonstrating this. She has so many maidservants, but still she personally will do all the menial chores, all the household chores. She would personally come and do for Krishna's pleasure. In India, we see this also, that generally, many households, they will have like a servant in the house, and a servant or two, and that particular servant, they would clean the house, they will do some cooking, help with the cooking, or wash the dishes. Like this, they will do menial tasks around the household. So it's quite common in India. Different houses will have, servants who would help with household activities. Same way, Mother Rukmini, she didn't just have one servant, but she had so many hundreds and thousands of servants. But she personally did everything. She personally did all the menial chores to attract Krishna's attention, for Krishna's pleasure. So this is the scene that Naren Muni saw when he first entered the palace of Rukmini and Krishna. And Krishna sees Naren Muni entering. And what does Krishna do? Krishna, he immediately bows down, does dandavats to Naren Muni. And Krishna comes to Naren Muni, welcomes him with sweet words. And Krishna touches Naren Muni's feet. And Krishna gets Naren Muni to sit on his own throne. And then Krishna, he starts personally washing the lotus feet of Naren Muni. Now, at this point, someone might ask, Naren Muni, he's a devotee, and Krishna is the Supreme Lord. How come Naren Muni is letting Krishna wash his feet, He's not showing any form of, hesitation. He's not saying, no, Krishna, don't do this, I am your devotee, why are you doing this, He's not, hesitating or not putting any arguments. He's just coolly and calmly just letting Krishna touch his feet, letting Krishna take his dust, coolly letting Krishna, wash his lotus feet. How is this, Isn't Naren Muni supposed to be the greatest of all devotees? So yes, Naren Muni is the greatest of all devotees. And through this pastime, he is showing how he is the greatest of all devotees. Prabhupada explains in Krishna book that Naren Muni, he understands Krishna's mood. Naren Muni, he understands that Krishna, what Krishna is desiring. So what is a devotee or servant? Servant means he tries to fulfill the desire of the master. Okay, ideal servant is one who looks to see what is it my master desires, what is it my master wants, and he will work to fulfill the desire of his master. So if someone wants to be an ideal servant of Shri Shri Radha Gopinath, he'll always be calculating in that way. What is it that Krishna wants? What is it that Radha Gopinath wants? What is it that their devotees wants? And how I can fulfill those desires. So Naren Muni in this case, he understands what is Krishna's mood, what is Krishna's desire. And Prabhupada explains, Naren Muni, he understands that at this particular instance, Krishna, he wants to teach the whole world how an ideal householder should receive a saintly person. Krishna is the master of the whole universe, so he has to set an ideal example for everyone in this world. Because Krishna understands whatever he does, everyone else will follow. So in this particular instance, Prabhupada explains that Naren Muni, he understands that Krishna, at this point in time, his desire is that he wants to display how an ideal householder should receive a saintly guest. So let me assist Krishna or be an instrument in fulfilling this desire of Krishna. If I reject Krishna saying, no, Krishna, how can you do this? Don't touch my feet. If I run away from the scene, then what will happen to Krishna's desire? Krishna won't be able to fulfill that particular desire of his. So instead of doing service to Krishna, I will be doing disservice. Instead of, out of showing my humility, I would actually be doing disservice if I run away from the scene or if I stop Krishna. In this point in time, although it's very awkward for me to get my feet washed by Krishna, although it's very awkward for me to get my Supreme Lord to touch my feet, take my dust, still this is the desire of my Lord, this is what will please him. Let me go through this. Let Krishna do this. So this is why Naren Muni, is a pure devotee of Lord. This is why he is the greatest of all devotees. For Krishna's pleasure, for fulfilling Krishna's desire, he's even letting the Lord touch his lotus feet. For Krishna's pleasure, he's even letting the Lord wash his lotus feet. If we think about it, if we put ourselves in that shoe, that's like such an awkward, unthinkable position to be in. Even to just get another devotee in the ashram or in the temple or in the community to come and wash our feet, we would never agree to that. It's like such an embarrassing thing. What to speak of allowing the Supreme Lord to wash our feet. But Naren Muni, very coolly and calmly, he's letting Krishna doing that. You can just imagine how much surrendered Naren Muni is. That for Krishna's pleasure, he's able to do anything and everything. So that is pure devotional service. Which means anything and everything, whatever Krishna desires, we should be willing to do it. Even if Krishna desires to touch our feet, Naren Muni is willing to do it. Okay, no problem. Krishna wants to wash my feet, no problem. And this didn't just happen once. It happened with all the 16,000 palaces Naren Muni went to. So he didn't just visit one palace and then went back. But it's mentioned that he personally went and saw Krishna in all of those 16,108 palaces. And every time he entered, Krishna pretended as if he hadn't seen him in the previous palace. Krishna pretended as if he's seeing Naren Muni after such a long time. And every single time Naren Muni entered each one of those 16,000 palaces, Krishna received Naren Muni the same way. Bowed down to Naren Muni. Oh, Guruji, for so long I haven't seen you. Krishna touches his feet, gets him to sit on his throne. Again, Krishna goes through the whole thing again, washes his feet, receives him nicely. And Naren Muni, in different palaces, he would see Krishna doing different things. In the first one, he was seeing Mother Rukmini fanning Krishna. Next palace he goes through, he sees Krishna playing chess with another queen. Another palace he goes to, he sees Krishna discussing, politics with his minister Uddhava. Another palace he goes to, he sees Krishna practicing the art of fighting. Another palace he goes to, he sees Krishna playing with his little children. Another palace he goes to, he sees Krishna, saying bye to his daughter who is going off married. Another palace he goes to, he's welcoming a new daughter-in-law into his family. Like this, all different palaces he goes to, he sees Krishna engaged in some different activity. And Krishna, in all of those palaces, he pretends as if he hasn't seen Naren Muni in the previous palaces. And Krishna, he receives Naren Muni in the same way. Touches his feet, washes his feet. And Naren Muni goes through this, 16,000 times. Not just once, but so many times. So all for Krishna's pleasure. So this is how, this is the level of surrender, consciousness of pure devotees of Lord. That for Krishna's pleasure, they can do anything and everything. So Naren Muni is personally demonstrating this. Now going back to the first palace that Naren Muni enters, where he sees Mother Rukmini fanning Krishna. So after Krishna has very graciously received Naren Muni and demonstrated how a householder should receive a saintly guest, then then Krishna, he asks Naren Muni that, my dear Guruji, my dear spiritual master, you please tell me how I can serve you. Please order me. Is there some desire, some way I can assist you, serve you? Please tell me how I may be of assistance to you. Please tell me how I can serve your lotus feet. So like this, Krishna, he asks Naren Muni. And in Naren Muni, he offers a series of nice prayers to Krishna, glorifying Krishna, Krishna's position. Then at the end, Naren Muni, he answers Krishna's question of what Krishna can do for him, what service Krishna can do for Naren Muni. And at the end of Naren Muni's prayers, Naren Muni asks that, my dear Lord, I am your servant, and you asked what you can do for me. You please give me one benediction. You please fulfill one desire of mine, which is, please bless me that I may never forget your lotus feet. No matter whatever condition of life I may go into, please bless me, I may never forget your lotus feet, and please bless me, I may always be absorbed in thoughts of your lotus feet. Then if we read Krishna book, in the next paragraph, Prabhupada, he will give his purport. Prabhupada explains that this prayer that Naren Muni has put at the lotus feet of Krishna, this is the ideal prayer of all pure devotees of the Lord. So sometimes, we might think, what is the best prayer I can offer to Krishna? Or what is something that pure devotees pray for? From this pastime we can see. It's said that Naren Muni is the best of all devotees. He is said to be the Shaktavesh avatar of the Lord. And different Shaktavesh avatars, they're like jivas empowered with a particular potency of Krishna. Like Prithu Maharaj, he is empowered with Palana Shakti. So Palana means to maintain the citizens or the people in one's kingdom. So Krishna, he blesses Prithu Maharaj with Palana Shakti to rule over the kingdom. Same way Parshuram, he has the Shakti of Dushta Damana Shakti. Or he has that special power of Krishna to destroy all miscreants and kill all the demons. So in the same way, it is given that Naren Muni, he is empowered with a particular potency of Krishna, which is Bhakti Shakti. So because of this Bhakti Shakti coming from Krishna, which Naren Muni is empowered with, Prabhupada says that when Naren Muni sets his eyes on a particular jiva and thinks, I want this jiva to be a devotee, that person will become a devotee. Simply by the desire of Naren Muni can convert anyone and everyone in the universe into a devotee. Because he has that particular potency bestowed upon him by Krishna, Bhakti Shakti. So whoever Naren Muni wants, he can make them into a devotee. So he is said to be the topmost of all the devotees. So if there is someone we can follow, it is Naren Muni. And Naren Muni, by his personal example, he is showing us what should be our mood, what should be our prayer. Which is, my dear Lord, may I always, no matter whatever happens to me, no matter whatever situations I am put in this life or next life, please bless me, I may always remember your lotus feet and I may never forget you. And Prabhupada says this should be the ideal prayer of all the devotees of the Lord. And Prabhupada says, a devotee of the Lord, he never desires any material benediction nor any spiritual benediction. Like that Prabhupada writes in Krishna book, which is quite a very strong point. Okay, material benediction we understand, okay, we should never desire anything material. But Prabhupada writes in Krishna book, in this pastime, if we read in Krishna book, Prabhupada says that a devotee of Lord, he never asks anything for himself, and he never asks any material benediction, nor does the pure devotee desire any spiritual benediction also. All he wants, that no matter where he is born, he doesn't care. He can be born in hell or heaven. That's, not of his concern. He just wants to simply serve Krishna. He just wants to simply be absorbed in thoughts of Krishna and never forget Krishna. So Prabhupada says this is like the mood that we should all aspire for. And Prabhupada, he also, in Krishna book, quotes Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. The 4th verse of Sikshastakam. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is praying that, my dear Lord, birth after birth, I just simply desire to be engaged in your service. I don't want liberation. That's like a spiritual benediction, right? Being liberated or going to Vaikuntha, going to this dham. Mahaprabhu says, I don't want any spiritual benedictions also. I'm happy to take birth in this material world again and again and again. All I want to do is just serve you. All I want to do is just be engaged in your service. Be engaged in always remembering you and never forgetting you. So this is Krishna consciousness, Prabhupada explains, to always remember Krishna, never forget him. So through lifestyle engineering, we have to plan our lives, plan our days, plan our weeks in such a way that we are always engaged in remembering Krishna and not forgetting him. I'll continue with the purport. In the Chaitanya Chart, it is said that the perfect devotee may see many movable and immovable objects, but in everything he sees the energy of Krishna is acting. As soon as he remembers the energy of Krishna, he immediately remembers Krishna in his personal form. So this verse Prabhupada is talking about is in Chaitanya Charitamrita, Stavara Jangama Deki Nadeki Taramurti Sarvatra Hoya Nija Ista Deva Spurti. So this verse explains that a pure devotee, a devotee in the first class level, a Mahabhagavad, Stavara Jangama Deki. Stavara Jangama Deki means movable or immovable. When a pure devotee, he sees either a moving object or an immovable object, Deki, when he sees, he doesn't actually see the actual murti or the actual form of that object. Instead, what does he see? Stavara Jangama Deki, Na Deke Taramurti. So Na Deke, he doesn't see the murti, Na Deke Taramurti. He doesn't just see the physical form. So when he sees this mic stand, he doesn't just see that murti or that form of the mic stand. When he sees a tree, he doesn't just see the physical form or murti of the tree. Along with that, he sees something else. Beyond that vision, on a higher level, there is another vision that the pure devotee sees, which is Stavara Jangama Dekhi Na Dekhi Taramuti Sarvatra Hoya Nija Ista Deva Spurti. So along with that, he sees his Ista Dev. So when he sees this mic stand, he doesn't just see the form of this mic stand, but he sees, oh, this is my Radha Gopinath's mic stand. This is the mic stand in Shri Shri Radha Gopinath's temple room. This mat is not an ordinary mat. This is Gopinath's mats, in Gopinath's temple room. This tree is not just ordinary tree. This is a tree in Krishna's temple. So like this, whenever he sees something, it could be something immovable or it could be something moving, like an ant, a bug, a human being, a bird. So along with seeing the physical appearance of that thing, he also sees Krishna in that. When he sees a bird, he's seeing the soul in that bird, and he's saying, oh, this is a jiva, this is a soul. He's a part and parcel of Krishna. Prabhupada used to give the example that, one time one devotee asked Prabhupada in morning walk, that Prabhupada, you were saying that pure devotee, he sees Krishna everywhere. How is this possible? How does pure devotee see Krishna everywhere? Does that mean, when I'm looking into the space, I can see all the atoms, and in every atom I am seeing Krishna, 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 Krishna. I'm seeing like Krishna all around me like that, all the atoms. And Prabhupada says, no, it's not like that. And Prabhupada gives one example to help the devotee understand. Prabhupada says, just like when you see my shoes, what do you think? And the devotee says, when I see your shoes, I think of you, Prabhupada. Hey, this is Prabhupada's shoes. And Prabhupada says, what about when you see my glasses just laying around on a table? What do you think? And this devotee says, yeah, when I see your glasses, I immediately remember you. That, hey, this is Prabhupada's glasses. So Prabhupada says, just like when you see my glasses, immediately, my image comes into your mind. Hey, this is Prabhupada's glasses. Just like when you see my shoes, immediately my image comes into your mind. Hey, this is Prabhupada's shoes. In the same way, a pure devotee of the Lord, he sees every single thing all around him, moving and non-moving, in relation to Krishna. And he's so absorbed in that consciousness that when he's seeing things around him, he's not actually just seeing that physical form of that thing, but he's actually seeing Krishna in that. Just like when you see my shoes, you see me in that. In the same way, pure devotee, when he sees everything all around him, he sees Krishna only. So that is how you see Krishna everywhere. You see everything as Krishna's energy. You see everything as related to Krishna. Therefore, in all of his observations, he sees Krishna only. In the Brahma Samhita 5.38, it is stated that when one's eyes are smeared with love of Krishna, Premanjana Charita, he always sees Krishna, outside and inside. So to come to that level of seeing Krishna all around us, Prabhupada is saying we need to have eyes of love. When our love for Shri Shri Radha Gopinath increases, to such an extent, then everything all around us we will see in connection with them, and we will personally see Shri Shri Radha Gopinath everywhere, because we will be seeing everything in relationship to them. But for that, we need certain level of purification to come to that stage of deep love. And then Prabhupada says, we will see Krishna both outside and inside. Just like we sing every day to Lord Nrsimhadev, Ito Nrsimha, Paroto Nrsimha. Lord Nrsimhadev is inside, Lord Nrsimhadev is also outside. Bahir Nrsimha, Hridaye Nrsimha. Lord Nrsimhadev, he is inside my heart, and Lord Nrsimhadev, he is also outside of my heart. So he is there everywhere, he is always there, protecting us. And Prabhupada says, I like one purport, I think it's in 5th canto or 7th canto, Prabhupada says, what we should pray to Lord Nrsimhadev. So every day we sing these Nrsimha prayers. And in what mood should we offer these prayers? Prabhupada explains in one purport in Bhagavatam. Prabhupada says, when we're praying to Lord Nrsimhadev, Bahir Nrsimha, Hridaye Nrsimha, when we're singing that line, in our mind we should be thinking that, my dear Lord Nrsimhadev, you are seated within my heart, you please remove or you please destroy all the material desires, all the anarthas, all the obstacles which are choking my devotional service. Then Lord Nrsimhadev, he might ask the question, okay, yes, I am seated within your heart and you want me to destroy all these anarthas. Why do you want me to destroy these anarthas? What is the reason? What will you get out of this? Someone might ask this question. So Prabhupada, then he gives the answer. Why do devotees want Lord Nrsimhadev to destroy anarthas in their heart? Prabhupada says 2 reasons. Reason number one, Prabhupada says, devotees want Lord Nrsimhadev to remove material desires from their heart because Prabhupada says that these anarthas, they choke or they create an obstacle to one's devotional service to Shri Shri Radha Gopinath. So Prabhupada says this is the first reason, that my dear Lord, please remove these material desires so I can peacefully worship Shri Shri Radha Gopinath. Prabhupada uses that word, that devotees, they want, these anarthas, material, they're trying to do service, but while they're doing service, certain anartha comes. And while they're again trying to do another service, another material desire comes. And these anarthas, they're like impeding their service. And devotees, their mood is, they just want to peacefully worship Krishna, in pure devotional service. They don't want all these desires and all these things coming and, hampering their flow of service to Krishna. So therefore, Prabhupada says we should pray to Lord Nrsimhadev. Bahir Nrsimha, Hridayo Nrsimha, Lord Nrsimhadev, you're in my heart, please remove these obstacles, remove these material desires, so I can peacefully and happily worship Shri Shri Radha Gopinath. Reason number two, Prabhupada says, we should pray to be free from material desires so we can work to bring peace in the world. Because the more pure we are in our heart, the more effective we will be to bring about peace in the world. Prabhupada used to say, purity is the force. So preaching is the essence, books are the basis, and purity is the force. So the more pure our hearts is, to that degree we will be able to influence others. To that degree we will be able to bring someone close to Krishna's lotus feet. More pure we are, more souls we can bring to Krishna's lotus feet. So Prabhupada says this is the second reason why devotees pray to Lord Nrsimhadev to remove material desires. Because they feel compassion for the rest of the world. They see all these fallen souls, they're suffering so much. I want to do something to help them. But if I want to help them, I have to be qualified. Okay, someone wants to help some person suffering from some disease or ailment, he has to qualify himself as a doctor before he can go and treat the patient. So Prabhupada says that devotees, they feel compassion for other living entities, but at the same time they understand, if I want to genuinely help others, I need to be pure in my heart. And as long as I have these anarthas will create obstacles to me helping other jivas, to me helping other souls. So therefore I need to pray to Lord Nrsimhadev to remove these material desires. So then I'll be more pure, and with increased purity I can reach out to more souls and I can help more and more people come to Krishna's lotus feet. So like this, Prabhupada very nicely explains in one purport. Why do devotees pray to Lord Nrsimhadev to remove material desires from their hearts? Reason number one, so they can peacefully worship Shri Shri Radha Gopinath. Reason number two, so they can work to bring peace in this material world. He always sees Krishna outside and inside. This is confirmed here. One should be freed from all other vision. And in that way he is freed from the false egoistic identification and sees himself as the eternal servitor of the Lord. Chaksu Sevarkam. As we can see the sun without a doubt, one who is fully developed in Krishna consciousness sees Krishna and his energy. By this vision one becomes Atma Drik, or self-realized. When the false ego of identifying the body with the self is removed, actual vision of life is perceivable. The senses therefore also become purified. Real service of the Lord begins when the senses are purified. One does not have to stop the activities of the senses, but the false ego of identifying with the body has to be removed. Then the senses automatically become purified. And with purified senses, one can actually discharge devotional service. Okay, it's 9 o'clock, we'll stop here. Nantaraj Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai, Jo Guru Shri Prabhupada ki jai, Jai Gaur Premanande Hari Hari Bol.